Part 26. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 251. Hello, I am Zhong Changning, the president of the Painting Association. I would like to invite you to join the Painting Association. Zhong Changning's voice came from the loudspeaker of the mobile phone, so that everyone present could hear it clearly. Tang Tang's expression suddenly changed. She entered the Painting Association through self-assessment. In 2 years, she had not even met the president Zhong Changning a few times, let alone received a phone call from him in person. As a result, Lin Xian not only received a call from Mr. Zhong, but also received a personal invitation from him to join the Painting Association. Tang Tang was almost furious. He wanted to go up and snatch Lin Xian's phone and smash it to pieces. She was expelled from the Painting Association, why could she get in? She is not willing to give in. However, no one cared about her thoughts. After Lin Xian was stunned for a moment, she quickly asked in surprise, "Can I do it?" She looked at Nan Yan in disbelief. Nan Yan nodded lightly to her. Zhong Changning's usually serious tone was as gentle as possible this time. "I have seen all your paintings. You are a talented painter, and your works are very spiritual, so you are qualified to join the Painting Association. Do you want to?" "Of course I am willing." Lin Xian's eyes lit up with excitement. "Thank you, I am really honored to join the Painting Association. The Painting Association is a holy place in the heart of every painter. Of course she dreams of joining. Now that her dream has come true, there is no reason for her to refuse." "Okay, and Yan said that your health is not very good and you need to recuperate for a while. When you feel better, you can come to the Painting Association to report." Lin Xian hurriedly agreed, "Yeah." After Zhong Changning received the notification, he hung up the phone. Then he hugged Ms. Lin excitedly and shed tears of joy. After she relaxed a little, she walked up to Nan Yan and said gratefully, "Yan, thank you." She could guess that Nan Yan must have secretly helped her to join the Painting Association. She is so lucky to be friends with her. Nan Yan reached out and patted her shoulder. "In the next time, take medicine well and cooperate with the treatment." "I will." Ms. Tang and Tang Tang were so angry when they saw Lin Xian's triumphant look. However, next, they had to face Nan Yan's force, and they were sent to the police station without even a chance to interrupt the lawyer they brought. This time, it's punishment. Tang Tang was sentenced to 3 months in prison and fined because he incited netizens, exposed Lin Xian on the internet, and also engaged in bad behavior such as threats and intimidation. Ms. Tang behaved in the police station, and Tang Tang also resisted imprisonment. In the end, he was forcibly executed by the police uncle. When Tang Xiangming learned that his daughter was facing jail, he ignored the company's affairs and came to Jinqing in person. However, Qin Lu secretly exerted pressure, and in the end Tang Xiangming could only take Ms. Tang back to the imperial capital in despair. As for Tang Tang, no one can save her. She must be detained in a detention center for 3 months before she can be released. Hashtag. As Tang Tang was taken into custody, the hot searches on Weibo were withdrawn. The Tang family was in big trouble, so they had no time to think about trouble for Nan Yan and the Lin family. As for Angia, he was scolded for many days, and the matter was suppressed until new news emerged. However, Angia's reputation has plummeted, and the company's market has fallen into a slump. Mr. An only found out about this later. Seeing what his son's family had done to Nan Yan, he was completely disappointed and didn't want to care about them anymore. He directly announced that he had completely transferred his shares to Nan Yan and would no longer be involved in anything about the company. Mr. An's move made An Yeoking faint from anger in the hospital. Lu Lahua wanted to take An's Hisai and inciting to his old house to argue with him and make him calm down. Unfortunately, this time, they couldn't even enter the door of the old house. After Nanyan learned that the old man had transferred all the shares to her, she went directly to Anziran. "Fourth brother, sign this." She took out a stack of printed documents and placed them in front of Anziran. "What is this?" Anziran picked up the share transfer contract in confusion, looked at it twice, and stuffed it back. "Grandpa gave it to you, I can't have it." Nanyan looked indifferent. "If you don't want it, then I'll sell it online." Anziran: "My little sister is not forcing him to do this. Although he doesn't like taking over the company and doesn't want to get involved in family affairs, the family business cannot be left to outsiders in vain." He believed that Nanyan could definitely do it if he could say it. "I have no choice but to bookmark the share transfer agreement." After the signing was completed, he said, "Yanyan, I will keep these shares for you first. When you want them later, I will transfer them to you. There is no such day." Nanyan picked up the share transfer document and said, "I will not destroy the Yan family until it falls into your hands." Anziran was shocked. "What do you mean?" "Literal meaning. She has no feelings for the Yan family. The only ones who have feelings are Mr. An and Anziran. As for the others, they were all accomplices in the death of the original owner. She wouldn't make it easy for them." After settling the stock issue, Nanyan returned to the first hospital. Dean Tao asked her for advice on some Chinese medicine issues, but he couldn't explain them clearly over the phone, so he could only talk to her in person. After Tao Qingming solved the problem, Nanyan remembered the patient he had made an appointment with in the dark territory. "Mr. Tao, a patient will come here in a few days. Please help arrange hospitalization." "No problem," Mr. Tao agreed with a smile. "Friend Nan, does this patient have any special symptoms?" Nanyan thought for a while. "Well, the situation is quite dangerous." Although she has not seen the patient yet, she has almost guessed the patient's condition. Tao Qingming's eyes lit up. "Then when the time comes, can I bring a few people to see you treat him? This opportunity to observe clinical treatment is very precious." Okay, Nanyan had no objection to this. She paused and said, "If they have daily problems, you can also ask them to ask me." "Thank you, friend Nan." Tao Qingming's eyebrows were about to fly up with joy. "Those old guys always think they are awesome, and only you can make them humbly ask for advice." Nanyan. She thought that Mr. Tao was talking about his apprentices. As a result, he was talking about several old Chinese medicine practitioners in the Chinese Medicine Association. She has not come into contact with many Chinese medicine practitioners in China, and does not know the extent of their development. If there is a chance, she is willing to share the theory and experience of Chinese medicine with them. After all, reviving Chinese medicine is the master's wish. Hashtag. In a blink of an eye, it was time to participate in the national physics competition. Nanyan had promised the dean that she would win the first place in the physics competition. She could only follow the people from Zhide High School who were going to participate in the physics competition and took a bus to the best high school in Jinqing, number 1 middle school. However, what was unexpected was that Nanyan, who would not get carsick even when flying, got carsick. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 252. Besides, she was sitting at the back of the bus, and her head felt dizzy and heavy, and she felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. Sitting next to her was a very cute girl. She looked at Nanyan's pale face and asked softly, "Nanyan, are you feeling uncomfortable?" "It's okay." Nanyan pinched her eyebrows. "I feel a little carsick." The girl took out 2 mints from her pocket. "Here's a piece of candy for you, you'll feel better after eating it." Nanyan took it. "Thank you." After eating the mints, the motion sickness reaction did improve a lot, and her stomach was not so uncomfortable. "Nanyan, we still have more than an hour to get to the number 1 middle school, why don't you lean on my shoulder and sleep for a while?" Nanyan shook her head. "No, I'm fine." She was not used to accepting the kindness of outsiders. But she was very grateful. "What's your name?" "My name is Song Tianqing." Song Tianqing whispered, "Nan Yan, you are my idol. It's great to be able to participate in the physics competition with you and sit with you." She is her idol? Nan Yan was quite surprised, but then patted her shoulder and said two words, "Come on." "Yeah." Nan Yan said she didn't want to sleep, but the discomfort of motion sickness made her fall asleep unconsciously. When the car stopped, Song Tianqing called her softly. After she opened her eyes, she found that she was leaning on Song Tianqing's shoulder. One hand was still on her waist, supporting her, afraid that she would roll under the seat. Looking at Song Tianqing's slightly red cheeks, it was quite embarrassing. Nan Yan sat down quickly. "Thank you." Song Tianqing shook her head, "You're welcome. After sleeping, are you feeling better?" "Much better." "That's good, you should be energetic quickly and don't delay the competition later." After getting off the car, the team leader brought her a bottle of water. "Nan Yan, how do you feel?" She unscrewed it casually and took a sip. "Not bad." The team leader nodded, and then went to greet other students. There was still more than half an hour before the competition, and the candidates could enter the examination room. Nan Yan replied to a few messages on her mobile phone, and then handed the phone to the teacher for safekeeping. Song Tianqing saw Nan Yan coming in the classroom and said in surprise, "We are in the same examination room. It's just that the distance is a bit far, one is the fourth on the left, and the other is the third from the right." Nan Yan gestured to her, "Come on. Come on." After the bell rang, the invigilator came in with the test paper. The test paper was distributed, and Nan Yan took a look at the test paper and started to answer the questions. In less than half an hour, she finished all the questions. Seeing that there was only 1.5 hours left, she was ready to sleep for a while. The invigilator saw that she put down her pen so early and slept on the table, and her face was a little bad. With so little time, it is estimated that she didn't even finish half of the questions. Where did the student get the courage to participate in the physics competition? The invigilator looked at Nan Yan a few times and looked away expressionlessly. "I don't want to look at her anymore. No matter which school she is from, she is just here to make up the numbers." Nan Yan was sleeping soundly when she was suddenly awakened by a loud shout. "Cheating in the exam, now, please leave the exam room immediately." "I didn't." Song Tianqing looked anxious and aggrieved. "Teacher, this note is not mine, I was concentrating on answering the questions and didn't see it at all." The invigilator had a stern expression. "If it's not yours, why is it on your desk?" "I don't know." Song Tianqing was a little upset. She was really answering the questions, and the invigilator suddenly came over, picked up a note from her desk, and was about to drive her out. She didn't even notice when the note appeared on her desk. "Since you have no way to explain, it can only prove that you are cheating and disqualify you from the competition." "Teacher, I didn't." Song Tianqing held back her tears. "This is really not mine, please, don't disqualify me, this competition is very important to me." "Competition is important to everyone, but this is not a reason for you to cheat." The invigilator showed no mercy, pointed to the door, and said sternly, "Get out." Song Tianqing was frightened by his sudden loud voice, and then looked around blankly, and could only grit his teeth, pack up his things and prepare to leave. "Wait a minute," Nan Yan said lightly, "it is impossible that there is only one person cheating. Since it is passing notes, there must be another cheater. I hope the teacher can find out and kick all the cheaters out of the examination room, so that it is fair. There are a total of 34 candidates in the entire examination room. Now no one continues to answer questions, and they all look up at them. Especially Song Tianqing." A glimmer of hope bursts out in her desperate eyes. She doesn't want to be kicked out, she wants to participate in the competition. The invigilator said in a deep voice, "We can't waste the time of all the candidates because of one candidate. We will continue to investigate the cheating after the exam, and we will definitely give an explanation to all the candidates. But what if the cheater is not her? No one would be so stupid as to put the cheat sheet on the table blatantly and wait for the teacher to find out." Nan Yan raised her hand and pointed to the surveillance camera in the corner. "There are eyes, and they have helped to record the whole process. I think we should adjust the surveillance camera now to find out who is cheating. I hope the teacher will not wrongly accuse innocent students." The student sitting in front of Song Tianqing's left and the student behind her looked flustered. They were classmates, and the cheat sheet they had just thrown was their masterpiece. If Nan Yan hadn't mentioned this, Song Tianqing would have taken the blame for them and been kicked out of the examination room, and the matter would have passed. As a result, because of Nan Yan's proposal, they might have been exposed. At that moment, the two boys couldn't help but resent Nan Yan in their hearts. The invigilator was a little embarrassed, but he had to admit that Nan Yan made sense. The invigilator said in a deep voice, "Others, continue the exam. You continue to sit down and write first. I will contact other teachers to adjust the surveillance. Students who cheated can now take the initiative to stand up. They will only be disqualified from the competition. If I find out who it is, not only will they be disqualified from the competition, but they will also be notified to universities across the country. I'm giving you the last minute to think about it." Song Tianqing sat, shaking his hands, holding a pen to continue answering questions, trying to calm himself down and not be affected by the change. "Teacher, the other person who cheated was me." The boy sitting behind Song Tianqing stood up, glanced at Nan Yan sinisterly, then lowered his head and said, "Sorry, I cheated." He pointed at Song Tianqing and said, "But my cheat sheet is for her." Song Tianqing had just calmed down a little, and was accused of cheating again. She suddenly collapsed. "It's not me, I don't even know him. Why did you want to hurt me?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 253. No matter how much Song Tianqing explained, the student behind her stood up to testify, and the name of plagiarism still fell on her head. After all, it was the student behind her who passed the note, and the student in front did not receive it. Even if the surveillance was checked, it could not be found on the student in front. The invigilator had a gloomy face and wanted to kick Song Tianqing and the student behind her out together. "Wait a minute," Nan Yan said lightly. The invigilator was angry. "What else do you have to say? Now that there are witnesses and evidence, the cheating is true, do you want to disrupt the examination room? Do you know what the consequences of disrupting the examination room are? I have the right to kick you out together with the two cheating students." Song Tianqing wiped her tears and choked up and said, "Nan Yan, take the exam well and don't worry about me." She was speechless now, and didn't want to cause Nan Yan to be kicked out by the invigilator. Nan Yan calmly sat in her seat. "I didn't want to disrupt the exam room, I just wanted to ask that boy a question." She didn't wait for the invigilator's permission, and looked directly at the boy and asked, "Since you said that the person you helped to cheat was the person in front of you, do you know her name?" "I." The boy's face suddenly became flustered. How could he know her name? He didn't know her at all. "You don't even know her name or who she is. Are you the reincarnation of the Virgin Mary? Are you so helpful? Even if you want to help, you should ask her if she needs it, right? Teacher, this is such an obvious frame-up, can't you see it?" Nan Yan's arrogant and sarcastic words immediately made the teacher a little embarrassed. But, it is undeniable that the invigilator felt that what Nan Yan said was also reasonable. Looking at Song Tianqing's aggrieved and sad look, the invigilator finally said, You sit down and take the exam first. This boy, you go out. The boy gritted his teeth, put down the pen and test paper in his hand, glared at Nan Yan viciously, and walked out of the exam room. The following exams were much calmer. Song Tianqing was almost emotionally broken and her mind was in a mess. But when she looked at Nan Yan and saw Nan Yan's cheering gesture to her, she quickly calmed down. She had to keep her mind stable and answer the questions well. Hashtag. The bell rang and the exam was over. The invigilator asked all students to put down their pens and not answer any more questions. Then, he went to collect the papers. When he walked to Nan Yan, he thought he would see a large blank paper, but he found that she had answered all the questions on the first page. He flipped the paper casually. She answered all the questions in the back. She even answered the last additional question that was beyond the syllabus completely. So, she didn't know nothing, but she finished all the questions in half an hour? The invigilator looked at Nan Yan again in shock, and then his eyes fell on her name. Nan Yan. Very good, he remembered the student. After all the papers were collected, the students began to leave in an orderly manner. The cheating boy's companion stared at Nan Yan fiercely for a few seconds, then left angrily. Nan Yan, thank you today, Song Tianqing walked to Nan Yan and said gratefully. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I would have been kicked out by the invigilator for cheating. Not only would I not be able to complete the competition, but my college entrance examination would also be affected in the future. Song Tianqing was still in shock. Cheating is taken seriously in normal exams, let alone in competitions. She has a serious bias in subjects. If she takes the college entrance examination based on her scores, she can only be admitted to an ordinary university. She can only be admitted as a special student and recommended by the competition results. Nan Yan smiled and said you're welcome, and asked by the way, how did you do in the exam? It should be not bad. Song Tianqing was still quite confident. I thought my mentality would collapse and I would not do well in the exam. She looked at Nan Yan with starry eyes, and her emotions were a little excited, but your encouragement made me calm down, my mind was clear again, and I performed exceptionally well in the second half. This is the power of idols. Nan Yan didn't expect that her encouragement could have this function. Let's go and meet up with the others. Yes. However, as soon as they got down from the teaching building, Nan Yan and Song Tianqing were blocked by two boys. Seeing the two boys looking for trouble, Song Tianqing was a little scared. He couldn't help but grab Nan Yan's sleeve and whispered, "What should we do? The team leader is not here, and there are students who don't know each other around, and there is no one to ask for help." "Calm down, I'm here." Nan Yan comforted Song Tianqing, and then looked at the two indifferently. "What's wrong?" The boy who framed Song Tianqing said coldly, "If you don't want to make a big deal, just follow us." "Nan Yan, let's go find the teacher," Song Tianqing tugged at Nan Yan's sleeve and whispered. "It's okay." Nan Yan patted the back of her hand carelessly, and then raised her chin to the boy. Indicated them to lead the way. The two boys probably didn't expect Nan Yan to cooperate like this. Is she stupid? Or is there something wrong with her brain? But they can't bear it if they don't get angry. Song Tianqing had no choice but to grab Nan Yan's clothes and follow her closely. After they reached the playground, the two boys stopped, and the two of them trapped Nan Yan and Song Tianqing in the middle. The boy in the back row clenched his fists and said, "I was kicked out because I was nosy just now. How are you going to compensate me?" Nan Yan raised her eyebrows. "Why don't you tell me what kind of compensation you want?" "Compensate? You know how much effort I have put into this competition. If you don't pay, I will go to your school to block you." "Child high school, huh, garbage." When Song Tianqing heard that they were asking for money, she became less nervous and said quickly, "I have a little pocket money in my hand, how much do you want?" "It's too much, I don't have it." Her family background is pretty good, and her parents are usually generous to her. In addition to the money they usually give her during the New Year and holidays, she has thousands of dollars in her hands. It was just a waste of money to avoid disaster, so she didn't feel too bad about giving the money to them. No big deal, I'll save it later. For the sake of your good attitude, let's give the two of us 50,000 yuan each. Song Tianqing couldn't help but exclaimed, "Are you so poor that you are crazy? Even if she had so much, she wouldn't give it to them." "No? Then call your parents. If you don't pay, the matter will never end." Nan Yan rolled up his sleeves slowly. 50,000 per person is too little, let's say 500,000 per person. Song Tianqing. Is her idol confused? I actually thought the amount given to them was too little. The two boys were also a little surprised, and for a moment they didn't know what Nan Yan was thinking. She pushed Song Tianqing aside and moved instantly. Before the boy in the back row could react, he was kicked in the calf by her and fell to the ground in pain. Then he was stepped on the back, unable to move. Nan Yan increased her strength slightly, looked directly at the boys in the front row, and said in a cool voice, 50,000, 1 point less, I will go to your school to block you. The high school affiliated to Normal University is not too far away. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 254. 500,000, 1 cent less, I will go to your school to block you. Nan Yan's threatening tone was more fierce than the boy's threatening tone just now. The affiliated high school of Normal University is not too far away. Song Tianqing. Boys in the front row. Boys in the back row, screaming. Nan Yan raised his eyebrows. Did you understand what I said? You are looking for death. The boy in the front row gritted his teeth and rushed forward to push Nan Yan away. Then, the next second, he also knelt down. Nan Yan stepped on one and kicked one away, and then felt that they were not very honest, so he abused them again. Until the two of them begged for mercy. How about this condition? Is it too little? No. Not too. The boy in the front row shook his head like a rattle, and then burst into tears. But, I don't have that much, can you ask for less? He is not a very rich man. This time he came to participate in the competition, and he also agreed with the boy in the back row in advance to let him help him cheat. At that time, he will give him a reward of 10,000. The boy in the back row was short of money, but his grades were good, so for the sake of money, the two hit it off. As a result, who knew that when the boy in the back row passed the cheat sheet, he didn't have any money and threw it directly on Song Tianqing's desk. It's okay to ask him to take out 10,000 yuan, but he really doesn't have 500,000 yuan. As for the boy in the back row, he didn't have that much money, and he didn't even have 500 yuan. Nan Yan didn't really plan to ask them for 50,000 yuan each. If this matter was exposed, it would affect her reputation. No money, right? Then go find the invigilator and confess to cheating. The two boys had no choice but to follow Nan Yan and confess to the invigilator. When they arrived at the office, Nan Yan played the words that the two threatened them in the form of a recording. There was more than one invigilator in the office, but after listening to it, the attitudes of several teachers were very consistent. It's really too much. Your behavior is too bad. You must be severely punished. Inform their school and ask the school to come to number 1 middle school to pick them up. My two classmates, are you frightened? No. Nan Yan's expression was indifferent. If there is nothing else, we will leave first. Okay, you go first. The two boys were dejected. This time they didn't even have the courage to look up at Nan Yan. After all, Nan Yan had just left a huge shadow in their hearts, and they were full of pain. Hashtag. On the way back, Song Tianqing couldn't restrain his excitement. Nan Yan, you are so awesome. Have you learned martial arts? I guess so. but most of the skills she learned were used to kill people. Back then, fighting in the underworld honed her abilities and made her more comfortable with her own martial arts. After Song Tianqing chattered a lot of words of admiration, she asked nervously, "Can I add you as my WeChat friend?" Yes. Nan Yan took out her mobile phone and brought up the QR code page. Add it. After adding friends, Song Tianqing was extremely happy and spoke more enthusiastically. When they returned to the gathering place, Nan Yan took the mobile phone from the teacher in charge, glanced at the message on it, and said, "Teacher, someone will come to pick me up later, so I won't go with you." The teacher in charge asked hurriedly, "Who will pick you up? Is it your family or friends?" "Yes. It's the parents." "Brother, you are also a parent, right? Then call the parents, I need to verify it before I can rest assured." Nan Yan sighed and called Qin Lu. "Brother, the teacher is worried that I lied to her, so she wants you to tell her in person." Before, when the head got off the bus, Nan Yan complained to Qin Lu that she was dizzy on the bus. Qin Lu replied that he would pick her up when she returned. Nan Yan originally said that she didn't need to bother him with such a small matter, but no one could change the decision of the big boss Qin. Qin Lu's low voice came from the receiver, "Yan Yan, give the phone to the teacher." Nan Yan stretched out her hand and handed the phone over. The team leader took the phone and said politely, "Hello, I am the team leader of Nan Yan." Qin Lu restrained some of his coldness and said lightly, "Hello, teacher, I am Yan Yan's brother, and I am waiting for her at the school gate." The team leader responded repeatedly, "Oh, okay, then let Nan Yan go to the school gate to find you." "Nan Yan, your brother is waiting for you at the school gate, you go find your brother." Nan Yan took the phone and nodded slightly, "Thank you, teacher." Hashtag. Outside the gate of the first middle school, a black Rolls-Royce was parked steadily on the side of the road. The car window was lowered. Wu Yu stretched his neck and turned his head to look for Nan Yan's figure. When he saw Nan Yan coming out of the school, he hurriedly opened the door and wanted to get out of the car to call her. As a result, because he was too anxious, his head hit the car door and he fell down with stars in his eyes. Wu Yu. He looked around and found that many people were looking at him. It was a large-scale social death scene. It was so embarrassing. He quickly patted the dirt on his body and stood up, then waved to Nan Yan, "Miss Nan, this way." Nan Yan came over, and Wu Yu opened the back door attentively. After Nan Yan got on the car, Qin Lu put down his notebook, smiled lightly, and asked in a warm voice, "What do you want to eat for lunch?" Nan Yan leaned lazily on the seat, squinted her eyes and said, "Whatever, I'm not picky." Very tired, Qin Lu naturally held her hand and squeezed it gently. "A little bit." It was mainly caused by motion sickness in the morning. Although the motion sickness has passed now, there is still some fatigue. "Let's go to the Landis Hotel, eat, take a nap and then go back to Jinqinj, okay?" "Well, brother, please arrange it. Anyway, she has nothing to do in the afternoon." After a sumptuous meal, Nan Yan and Qin Lu went to the presidential suite on the top floor. As soon as she entered the door, Nan Yan pulled the zipper of her school uniform and planned to take off her coat. Qin Lu asked beside her, "Do you want to take a bath?" Nan Yan paused and looked up at him expressionlessly. She always felt that someone proposed to rest here. Is he trying to do something bad? Taking a bath can effectively relieve physical fatigue. Qin Lu propped his arms on the wall next to the girl, his dark eyes, with a seductive smile, "Yan Yan, what are you thinking about?" Nan Yan was slightly embarrassed. It turned out that she had misunderstood. But looking at the handsome face of the man in front of her, and that seductive smile, her somewhat useless heartbeat accelerated. Qin Lu was flirting without knowing it, and he deliberately approached her. The distance between the two exceeded the safe distance. It seemed that if he lowered his head, he could kiss her lips. Nan Yan stared at him, licked her lips suddenly, leaned close to his ear, and whispered, "I'm thinking, brother." After she finished speaking, she blew a breath into his cochlea. Qin Lu's pupils suddenly shrank, and his heartbeat, which had been restrained, began to speed up uncontrollably, even reaching an alarming speed in a few seconds. "Little friend, don't seduce brother, brother is not as gentleman as you think. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss." Author, Junanan. Chapter 255. Little friend, don't seduce me, I'm not as upright as you think. The low and hoarse tone faintly reveals the restraint of a man. Even if she didn't look into Qin Lu's eyes, she could feel the aggression in his eyes. Nan Yan has always been bold and timid. Originally, she wanted to tease Qin Lu deliberately to see the indifference and cracked look on his face, but every time she teased him off. Gritting her teeth and suppressing the throbbing in her heart, Nan Yan said innocently, "Brother, I want to take a shower." Qin Lu still maintained the original action, frivolously and casually said, "Well, do you want me to help you take off your clothes?" "No." Nan Yan refused without thinking, and then pushed him away with a cold and flushed face, and fled in a panic. When Nan Yan ran into the bathroom, Qin Lu leaned against the wall with his back, pinching his eyebrows helplessly. The next second, he turned to another room, picked up the bathrobe, and calmly took a cold shower. Hashtag. After taking a half-hour hot bath, Nan Yan felt relaxed. The discomfort caused by motion sickness had completely disappeared. After taking a shower, she wrapped herself in a bathrobe and left the bathroom. She wiped her hair with a towel, untied her bathrobe, and was about to change clothes when there was a knock on the door. "Yan Yan, can brother come in?" Nan Yan paused, then wrapped the bathrobe she had just untied back. She looked down at her underwear on the bed and simply covered it with a quilt. After making sure there was nothing unusual, she went to open the door. "Brother, is there something wrong?" Nan Yan leaned lazily against the doorframe, her arms folded, her peach blossom eyes raised, and looked at Qin Lu with a smile. There was no way, she was not wearing a small vest, and if she put her hands down, her shape would be exposed. Qin Lu's eyes fell on the little girl's pink and tender face steaming with heat, and he handed over a small incense burner with a smile. "Sleep-inducing incense, you take a nap here, and when you wake up, we'll go back to Jinqing." Nan Yan quickly took the small incense burner and covered her chest again. "Got it?" Qin Lu's smile deepened, and he gently reminded her, "Have a good rest." Then, without waiting for Nan Yan to say more, he turned and left. Nan Yan closed the door and walked back to the bed with the small incense burner. The incense inside had been carefully lit by Qin Lu, and the faint fragrance slowly overflowed from the incense burner. Since there was no hurry to go back, it would be better to take a nap. Hashtag. More than 2 hours later, Nan Yan climbed up from the soft big bed and changed her clothes. Then she picked up the mobile phone on the bedside. When she slept, her mobile phone was turned to silent. Not many people looked for her, except for the dean who sent a message asking her when she would go back, and Shen Junqing and Anziran asking her about her exams. Nan Yan replied to each of them, then changed her clothes and went outside to find Qin Lu. While she was sleeping, Qin Lu was holding a video conference in the living room of the presidential suite. She pushed the door open and saw him losing his temper. His cold face and the aura that was so intimidating that she stood at the doorframe, hesitating whether to go out later or go back to the room first and wait for Qin Lu to finish the meeting before coming out. Just as she was hesitating, Qin Lu had already noticed her coming out. Then he restrained his aura a little and said coldly, "This is it for now. If you can't give a definite solution tomorrow, you can go to the Human Resources Department and resign." After that, he reached out and turned off the screen of the laptop, unilaterally ending the meeting. "Little friend, come here." The gentle and natural tone was completely different from the cold and icy tone just now. Nan Yan gave up her hesitation and walked to his side. Eat something first. Qin Lu pointed to the washed and cut fruits on the table. Nan Yan didn't bother to be polite with him. She forked a piece of watermelon, sat on the sofa, and ate it slowly. Are you still feeling uncomfortable? No. Nan Yan finished eating the watermelon and forked a piece of pineapple. After eating, she didn't take any more fruit. She threw the used disposable fruit fork into the trash can, leaned back on the sofa and asked, "Brother, when are we going back?" "Nothing else, we can go now." Qin Lu took a bite of the red melon flesh and chuckled, "Is Yan Yan in a hurry to go back?" Stained with red juice, his lips seemed to be rubbed with a layer of rouge, moist and seductive. "Want to kiss?" Nan Yan calmly moved her eyes away from his lips, half lowered her eyes. "There's nothing to do here, why not go back?" "Okay." Qin Lu, like her, also ate a piece of watermelon and a piece of pineapple, then stood up, holding the computer on the desk, and stretched out his hand to her. "Let's go back." Nan Yan looked at the hand he handed to her, and without much thought, she put her hand on it. Borrowing his strength to stand up. Back to Jinjinj, it was already 4:30 in the afternoon. At this point, there was no need to go to school, so Nan Yan went to the first hospital. She wrote a prescription and gave it to Tao Qingming. "The patient should arrive in 3 days. I will inform you of the specific time then." The patient contacted in the dark domain told her that the patient's condition has stabilized a lot and can be moved. It happened that she only had 3 days worth of the medicine she gave him, so she scheduled it for 3 days later. "Okay." Mr. Tao nodded with a smile, "The Chinese medicines you want are available in the pharmacy. I will ask them to prepare them right away." Nan Yan said calmly, "Don't worry, there are still 3 days. Okay, it will be ready before the patient arrives. By the way, Xiao Nan, there is a new patient admitted to the hospital. He has late-stage lung cancer, but his situation is a bit special. The above means that even if it cannot save his life, I hope it can alleviate his pain as much as possible. But his body, even with the most powerful anesthetic, won't work. I wonder if Nan Xiao can do anything?" Nan Yan originally wanted to leave, but when he heard Tao Qingming say this, he said, "I'll go take a look." Tao Qingming immediately took Nan Yan to the inpatient department. The patient lived in the high-end VIP ward and was an old man who was nearly 70 years old. Due to the torture of cancer, she was too thin, like a skeleton covered with a layer of human skin, making her look so haggard that people couldn't help but sigh. "Before they came, I had just taken medicine and fell asleep." Tao Qingming said softly, "She is an old researcher in the National Laboratory and has made a lot of contributions to the country and society. Her cancer was also caused by long-term exposure to radiation, which caused mutations and was diagnosed in the early stages. Found it, but there has been no way to treat it." After obtaining the consent of the family, Nanyan took the old man's pulse. "It's too late." Nanyan gently put down her hand. "The cancer cells have metastasized and there is no way to eradicate them now. Can you save my mother?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 256. Do you have a way to save my mother? The middle-aged man beside the bed asked excitedly after hearing Nanyan's words. There is no way to cure her, we can only extend her life for a few months. Nanyan looked straight at the middle-aged man, but you also saw that she is suffering living like this, are you sure, do you want to treat it? The pain of cancer attack is like 1,000 arrows piercing the heart, and she is already immune to most painkillers, and no matter how strong the anesthetic is, it will not have much effect on her. Then do you have a way to wake her up? The middle-aged man's eyes were red. Mother still has a lot of scientific research experience that she has not left behind. If she leaves like this, it will be a loss to the country. Mother has devoted her whole life to the country. In order to prevent China from lagging behind other countries in science and technology, she almost dried up her heart and soul. Those experiences are immeasurable wealth. They are what she has exchanged for countless days and nights. If we have those experiences, we can save a lot of detours. If you have a way, please. Nan Yan felt like a stone was pressing on her chest, and she felt a little depressed. If it was 2 months earlier, she could have extended the old woman's life for at least 3 years, but now it's too late. Unless. Nan Yan was struggling. T-2 medicine has a 90% chance of saving the old woman. But if T-2 medicine is available, Western countries will definitely find out about it. And Shishkin only has one finished product. He thought that if he got the finished product and the formula, he could develop T-2 in large quantities. But now he must have found that even if he looked at the formula, he couldn't successfully prepare it. That finished product can be said to be the only one in the world. Nan Yan closed her eyes, exhaled slowly, and then opened them. I can save her. For the old woman's selfless dedication to the country, she couldn't stand by and watch her die. Before the middle-aged man showed an excited expression, she said lightly, "But I need you to promise not to tell outsiders that I cured her. If anyone asks, you can think of a reason. Don't take me. I hate trouble." Thank you, little doctor." The middle-aged man nodded hurriedly to agree. Even Tao Qingming looked a little surprised. "Friend Nan, can the mutated late-stage cancer really be cured?" Nan Yan shook her head. "It's not completely cured, it can only alleviate her symptoms so that she doesn't have to endure these pains anymore. And, I can only guarantee that she has at least 3 years." The middle-aged man shed tears of gratitude. "That's good enough, thank you so much." Apart from thank you, he didn't know what else to say to thank Nan Yan. Let alone 3 years, even if it's 3 months, he will be grateful. What's more, Nan Yan said that his mother would not have to endure these pains anymore. "I will send her a medicine later. After injecting her, her pain can be relieved. After that, I need a laboratory with the highest configuration. The Shen family's laboratory is not up to standard. The equipment is not up to national level, and it can barely make T-1 medicine, but the requirements of T-2 are too high and cannot be made in that laboratory." The middle-aged man, "My mother's laboratory has the most advanced equipment in the world." Nan Yan asked again, "How is the confidentiality?" "I will go in alone, and no images are allowed to leak out." He said, "The confidentiality of the national laboratory is absolutely guaranteed. When the time comes, I and the little doctor will go in and will not disclose any information. You are also in the national laboratory." The middle-aged man nodded. "To be honest, I don't have my mother's talent. I can barely be considered a formal researcher." Tao Qingming said on the side, "Mr. Yun is too modest. A national first-level researcher is not considered talented. What kind of talent is called talent?" Yun Jingshan shook his head. "In terms of ability, I am still far behind." Nan Yan didn't listen to them. She found a piece of paper in the ward and wrote down what she needed. Since she can enter the national laboratory, the materials should be easy to collect. She will go to the dark domain to find some rare ones. After writing, she handed the paper to Yun Jingshan. "Contact me after you are ready." Yun Jingshan saw the materials listed on it. His expression flashed with shock, and then stared at Nan Yan intently. After a long while, he nodded, "I can get all these materials." After things were settled, Nan Yan returned to the old house. Then he ran again and injected the T-1 drug into the unconscious old man. After coming out of the hospital, Nan Yan sat in the car, a little silent. Qin Lu tilted his head, looked at the little girl's gloomy appearance, and reached out to stroke her head. Yan Yan, are you worried? This time, Nan Yan did not dislike him rubbing her head, but leaned against his shoulder very weakly, and said in a muffled voice, "Brother, because of my decision, the peaceful days may become the past." She didn't plan to confront the West so early. But with the appearance of T-2, even if she didn't reveal her identity, it would attract the attention of the West. Thinking of her group of enemies, Nan Yan was already in a bad state. Qin Lu's eyes sank slightly, and asked, "Will there be danger?" He didn't know what Nan Yan's identity was, but from the ability she showed now, it was not difficult to see that there were many secrets behind her. If Nan Yan didn't tell him, he wouldn't ask. This was his respect for Nan Yan. Probably Nan Yan gritted his teeth, but it's not certain who will be in danger then. She wasn't going to sit around and wait for them to trouble her. Taking the initiative, maybe. Although her strength has not yet fully recovered, she is not someone to be slaughtered. Just do whatever you want. I have a brother. Qin Lu rubbed her head. What a mysterious little kid. Nan Yan said, unconvinced. Brother's identity is also very mysterious. You want to know? I can tell you everything. Nan Yan. The problem is, she doesn't want to know. The more she knows, the deeper the bond between her and him will be, and in the future, it will be even more impossible to separate. How can she still be a scumbag like this? Therefore, she just lay on Qin Lu's shoulder and pretended to be dead, refusing to take up the topic. Qin Lu laughed helplessly. After a while, he asked her, "Go home." Hashtag. Country M. Supreme Research Institute. Shishkin pointed at a group of scientific researchers and cursed, "You guys have no brains, you guys. Why haven't you prepared T-2 after so long? Do you know how valuable those materials are? So much was wasted and there is not even a finished product. How can you explain to me?" He really didn't expect that after he got the formula from Nan Yan, he couldn't even reproduce T-2 according to the formula. The president has given him various resources, but if he still can't use them in the end, what should he do? Did that bitch Nan Yan lie to him? Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 257. Could it be that Nan Yan, that bitch, did she lie to him? When Shishkin thought about this possibility, his face looked as ugly as if he had eaten a fly. He was too impatient at first. After Nan Yan developed the T-2 potion, he hurriedly made her disappear. If he had known that he would not be able to prepare the second dose with the formula, he would have kept Nan Yan for a while longer and asked her to prepare more reagents. However, it was too late to regret. Nan Yan is dead, and now the president is pressing hard, and the pressure on him has doubled. If he can't hand over a sufficient amount of T-2 reagents by the time, he doesn't know how to face the president's doubts. In the final analysis, they all blame Nan Yan. Even if you die, why bother with him? Hashtag. 3 days later. Nan Yan is at school. Today happens to be the time to announce the results of the physics competition. On the playground, the dean's face was glowing, holding an award certificate in his hand, standing on the stage very proudly. After the national flag was raised and the student representative spoke under the national flag, he took off the microphone and said with a smile, "Today is the day when the results of the competition are released. I would like to thank the students from our school who participated in the competition. The honor they brought back to the school has made ours Hyde High School feel proud for once. Although Hyde High School is considered a key high school, there are also many students admitted to key universities. But Hyde High School has not produced a single top scorer in the college entrance examination, nor has it won the first place in any major competition. The best result in the past was second place. Although there is only 1 place difference from the first place, everyone's eyes are always focused on the one standing at the top. Therefore, as soon as the dean's words came out, the students in the audience were in an uproar. I knew that Yinshin would definitely be the first in this competition. He got full marks in both monthly exams. It's strange that his results could be overturned. I'm so envious of the students in Class 4, Grade 2, who can be classmates with students like Nan Yan. Boss is mighty. Boss, congratulations. The students from Class 4, Grade 2, also expressed their joy to Xiang Nanyan with a playful smile. Nan Yan's face was expressionless, and he still exuded an aura of indifference. She never liked such occasions. If she had known that the dean had made such a big noise, she would never have come to school today. Anyway, she won the first place in the competition and brought glory to the school. The rest has nothing to do with her. It seems that everyone has guessed that Nanyan, a student from our school, won the first place in the national physics competition. Then, let's welcome our Nanyan student to the stage and give a speech. Nanyan. Can she not go up? The dean stood on the stage, his eyes locked on Nanyan, and his smiling eyes made Nanyan unable to hide even if he wanted to. Thinking of the dean's care for her, Nanyan gritted her teeth secretly and had no choice but to go on stage. Zhang Wenqian, who was standing in the crowd, stared at Nanyan with a sinister look, the hatred in her heart getting stronger and stronger. Then a look of viciousness flashed in her eyes, and she had a vicious plan in mind. She didn't believe it, she couldn't deal with a girl. Come on, student Nanyan, do you have any learning experience that you can share with your classmates? After the teaching director finished speaking, he did not forget to wink at Nanyan. Nanyan glanced at him speechlessly, took the microphone, and said in a very formulaic manner, watch more, learn more, and practice more. Everyone in the audience. Very good, worthy of being a top student, the answer is simple and clear. People in Grade 2 and Class 4 have long been familiar with Nanyan's character and applauded him very much. In addition, 3 students from the computer class looked at her standing on the stage with admiration on their faces. He studies well and has such strong computer skills. He deserves to be their team leader. The dean didn't expect Nanyan to answer so perfunctorily, so he took back the microphone helplessly. What Nanyan means is that everything remains the same. As long as you can thoroughly understand all the knowledge in the textbook, you don't have to worry about your grades in the exam. Haha, everyone must work harder in the future. The dean changed his voice and said, in addition to Nanyan who won the first place, our classmate Song Tianqing also got the third place. Now I would like to invite Song Tianqing to the stage. After Song Tianqing came on stage, she excitedly thanked Nanyan first, and then officially thanked the school and teachers. Finally, at the request of the dean, I gave my own speech. Compared to Nanyan's perfunctory attitude, Song Tianqing's attitude was much more sincere. There was another round of enthusiastic applause. This time's Hyde High School won first and third place in the national physics competition, which is the greatest honor it has achieved since the school was founded. In addition to certificates, there are cash prizes. Nanyan's irritable mood improved a little when he heard that he had received the money. Back to the classroom. Someone came close to Nanyan and said with a smile, "Boss, school is over today. Can we all get together? Do not have time. The patient will arrive in Jinqing in the afternoon and she will leave school at noon. Even if she had nothing to do, she wouldn't be too lazy to go to a party with this group of middle-aged teenagers. Boss, you've been taking leave a lot lately. Are you busy with the AEG team?" The classmates in the class always thought that she was in the AEG team. After all, she represented AEG last time in the competition, and it was reasonable for outsiders to think that she was an official team member. No, something else. Nanyan looked around at the people in the class and said leisurely, "You have time to worry about my affairs, so why not use this time to study hard? You will be the last in the final exam. I will arrange extra homework during the holidays. No, boss. Everyone was shocked. Even the teachers of various subjects and the head teacher don't care about their academic performance, and the boss actually gives them targets. There's less than a month left, come on. The indifferent words clearly told them that she was not joking. Immediately, after a burst of wailing, everyone quickly sat down at their desks, took out their books and started reading. Since you call me boss, I must give you some benefits. Nan Yan tapped her fingers on the table, and then said calmly, while I'm at school, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Everyone in the class responded feebly, thank you, boss. The head teacher, who was standing outside the door and was about to enter, couldn't help but smile when he heard the conversation inside. It seems that making Nan Yan the squad leader can be put on the agenda. She also didn't expect that Nan Yan would make such a request to this group of students. In fact, the students in class 4 are not stupid either, they just don't like studying. If there is someone who can guide them to study hard, in 1 year, many of them will definitely be admitted to good universities. The class teacher is looking forward to whether class 4 can give her a surprise in this final exam. Hashtag. At noon, Nanyan received a call from Fu Linfen. Miracle doctor, we have arrived at the #1 hospital in Jincheng. When are you free to come over? Nanyan, in 1 hour. Fu Linfen. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 258. Fu Linfen. What did he hear? The miracle doctor turned out to be a woman. And from her voice, it seemed that she was very young. On the Dark Domain website, Nan Yan's avatar was a black and white character. It was hard to tell whether she was a man or a woman just from the avatar. But she spoke very coldly, which made it easy for people to misunderstand that she was a man. Fu Linfen had always thought that she was a man, but... Okay, miracle doctor. Fu Linfen didn't dare to speak carelessly and responded very sincerely. After hanging up the phone, he looked at Fu Yubai in disbelief and said, brother, the alchemist who can save you is actually a woman. Fu Yubai, who was lying on the hospital bed, was stunned for a moment. Could it be that it was really the junior sister? Speaking of which, he hadn't seen the junior sister for more than 3 years. Not only could he not see her, he didn't even have any contact information. Just so suddenly, the junior sister disappeared from his world, and no matter how he looked for her, he couldn't find her. Not only him, but also others, had no news of her. She did it unilaterally, eliminating any means of contact between them and her, and erasing all traces of her existence. Only she has this ability. Whether it is her or not, he will see her today. Fu Yubai's hands in the quilt were slightly clenched, and his mood was slightly nervous. Hashtag. An hour later, Nan Yan took a taxi to the first hospital. First went to the dean's office and met Tao Qingming, and the two went to the VIP ward together. The ward that Mr. Tao arranged for Fu Yubai was just opposite Professor Yun's ward. This is it. Nan Yan raised her hand, knocked on the door, and then pushed the door open. In the ward, Fu Linfen was sitting by the bed, talking to Fu Yubai. Seeing the door open, the two looked at the door at the same time. Tao Qingming, they had met before. So, this girl. You are, no, it can't be. Fu Linfen saw Nan Yan, as if he saw a ghost. He couldn't believe it. The alchemist who contacted him was not only a woman, but her real age was even less than 20 years old. My God, if this is true, how powerful and terrifying must her talent be? Fu Yubai's expectation and excitement were like a bucket of cold water poured on his head after seeing Nan Yan. Not the junior sister. Appearance can be changed by disguise, but age cannot be faked. The girl in front of him was indeed only 18 or 19 years old. and the junior sister was already 25. He had too much expectations before, and after his expectations were dashed, the unspeakable disappointment almost destroyed his internal organs. His originally stable emotions suddenly deteriorated. Fuyuebai didn't notice that after Nan Yan entered the door, her breath suddenly stagnated. That is, her expression has always been calm, and she didn't reveal her emotions. After only 3 years of not seeing each other, how could the third senior brother be so sick? Realizing that Fuyuebai was not in a good condition, her face was stern and she strode over. Get out of the way. She reached out and pushed Fu Linfen away, took out the silver needle from her white coat, lifted Fuyuebai's clothes, and quickly gave him acupuncture. Fuyuebai coughed softly, and his lips were stained red with blood. His eyes were fixed on Nan Yan, who was very close to him. She was obviously a strange face. Why did he feel a little familiar with her? Especially her serious and focused expression, which made him unable to help but substitute the appearance of the little junior sister. He must miss the little junior sister too much to have such a cognition. Fuyuebai didn't say a word throughout the whole process. And Nan Yan didn't say anything else except those 2 words. Fu Linfen and Tao Qingming stood behind Nan Yan and watched her rescue Fuyuebai. After more than 10 minutes, Fuyuebai's condition stabilized, his breathing calmed down, and he stopped vomiting blood. The silver needle was still on him. Nan Yan sat by the bed, pulled out his wrist, and carefully examined his pulse. Godly doctor, can my elder brother's illness be cured? Fu Linfen subconsciously lowered his voice, fearing that a loud voice would affect Nan Yan. Nan Yan said in a deep voice, it can be cured. With her here, nothing will happen to him. Great, Fu Linfen couldn't help but shouted excitedly. Then he quickly covered his mouth, fearing that Nan Yan would be angry. 3 minutes later, Nan Yan confirmed Fuyuebai's condition and carefully moved his hand under the quilt to cover it. She looked straight into his eyes. I will help you adjust your body first. You are in this state now, you can't accept too stimulating treatment. You must wait until your physical condition is better before you can. Fuyuebai said gently, then I'll leave it to you. After learning more about his condition, Nan Yan left the ward. After leaving the ward, the expression on her face was a little sad and self-blaming. Tao Qingming hesitated for a moment, unable to suppress his doubts, and asked, Friend Nan, do you know the patient inside? Yes, Nan Yan did not hide it from him, it's just that he can't recognize me now, and I don't want to tell him my identity. Mr. Tao, please help me hide my identity and don't reveal my real name in front of him. Okay, is there anything I can help you with? The patient's condition is very unusual. After Fuyuebai entered the first hospital, Tao Qingming examined him first. To be honest, Fuyuebai's condition was very difficult, and he had no confidence at all. In his opinion, it was a miracle that he could live until now. Nan Yan was confident that he could cure him. The apprentice of Dr. Hua was indeed a great doctor. Nan Yan shook her head, just help me take care of him, I will find the medicine myself. Mr. Tao repeatedly said that he would definitely take good care of Fuyuebai. Hashtag. After leaving the hospital, Nan Yan went straight back to the old house. She logged into the website and looked for medicine in the medicinal materials area. The dark domain network is indeed the largest trading network in the world. Basically, anything that exists on Earth can be found here. But the price? Nan Yan calculated that if she wanted to buy several major medicinal materials, it would cost at least 10 billion. But her current account was too far behind. Nan Yan pinched her eyebrows, put down her hand, and her eyes were already determined. She logged out of the current Fish Who Loves Diving account and re-entered a new account and password on it. After entering, she hesitated for a second and decisively hit the enter key. A golden light exploded on the screen, like a firework, welcoming her. After the fireworks dispersed, her new account was displayed on the screen. Nickname, Pioneer. Identity, Top Administrator. Funds. The amount of money is too much to display the complete number. When she logged into her account, she immediately alarmed several other top administrators. The private message at the bottom of her screen flashed quickly. Nan Yan clicked it, and a string of messages popped up directly. Are you dead? Oh my god, I can still see you log in my lifetime. Tell me, where are you? Xiao Yan Yan. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 259. Nan Yan looked at the words on the screen expressionlessly, and replied indifferently, not me, please do not disturb. Then he directly transferred 50 billion from this account to the account of Fish Who Loves Diving. After the transfer, he did not check the group and quickly downloaded Pioneer. And the group with only 4 people was still talking. Damn, is Xiao Yanyan questioning our IQ? The security level of your account, is there anyone in the world who can steal it? Where have you been in the past 3 years, tell me? No escaping allowed, escaping cannot solve any problems, confession will be treated leniently, resistance will be treated severely. Hey, why is her avatar black? She logged into the account and then logged off again. Is she afraid that we think she is dead, so she deliberately came online to tell us that she is still alive? After the 3 people found that Nan Yan was really offline, not invisible, they began to think. Why is she hiding from them? Then they discussed for a long time, but could not come up with a reasonable excuse. As he was talking, the silent Bai Chen suddenly said, funds were transferred out of Xiao Yanyan's account and transferred to an ordinary account called Fish Who Loves Diving. Bai Chen, the login point of this account is in the same city as the login point of Pioneer, both of which are in China. Li Yuan, so, Xiao Yanyan is currently in China. Zy Gui, Bai Chen should be free, you can go to China and see what Xiao Yanyan is doing in China. Bai Chen, okay. Hashtag. Nan Yan knew that she couldn't hide her location from Bai Chen, so she didn't bother to erase her traces. Since she logged into Pioneer, she guessed that they would find out her whereabouts. Moreover, it has been 3 years, and it's time to meet them. Nan Yan bought all the medicinal materials she could buy on the account Fish Who Loves Diving. But there were still 2 main medicines left, and even the Dark Domain Network didn't have them ready. Nan Yan went to the task posting area and directly posted an S-level task. A large sum of money is required to buy fire flint and blood ganoderma, and requirements are set for bringing goods. These 2 medicinal herbs mostly grow in extremely harsh environments and require special preservation methods. Except for some alchemists, ordinary people may not have them. Now that the task has been posted, all that's left is to wait. Bai Chen followed the account Fish Who Loves Diving and saw her message. Xiao Yanyan wanted these 2 medicinal herbs, but they didn't seem to appear on the Dark Domain Network. He thought about it and posted in the group, find a way to get fire flint and blood ganoderma, and I will bring them to Xiao Yanyan. 3 people, okay. Hashtag. After this S-level task suddenly appeared, it immediately attracted many A-level and above mercenaries to watch. After all, there are too few such high-level tasks on the task list now, and they have all been accepted by high-level mercenary teams. Now suddenly another one has appeared, and everyone wants to see if they can accept it. The commission for an S-level task is not comparable to the commission for 10 A-level tasks. However, when they saw these 2 medicinal herbs, they were all confused. Is there such a thing in the world? Where can I find it? This task is obviously not easy to accept, so I can only miss the opportunity. Qin Lu's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and saw that it was Qin Ye, his confidant. At that moment, he slid his fingertips and chose to answer the call. Qin Ye, Master Qin, someone is asking for fire flint and blood ganoderma on the dark domain website for a large sum of money. Do you want to sell it? These two things happened to be in Qin Lu's hands. Moreover, they were completely useless in his hands, but just for show. Qin Lu lazily leaned on the sofa, a cigarette in his mouth. His handsome face was calm. What does the other party want to exchange? Qin Ye, the other party only asked for a large sum of money, and then you can bring goods to negotiate with him. Qin Lu put down the cigarette and flicked it in the ashtray, then let him exchange it with T-1 reagent. Fire flint and blood ganoderma are top-grade medicine materials in the hands of alchemists, but for him, they are not as useful as two pieces of jewelry. At least he can use the jewelry to please his children. As for his request for T-1 reagent in exchange, he didn't think the other party could take it out. If he can take it out, it will be better. Then let Mu Feng analyze it and see if he can get the formula. Okay, I'll ask the other party. Hashtag. Nanyan was about to take a break when a private message came from the computer. In order to avoid missing the message, she didn't turn off the computer and didn't log out of the account. I thought I would have to wait a few days. Who knew that there would be a reply so soon? Another person who wants T-1 reagent. Nanyan saw this request and felt that she had saved a lot of trouble. If the other party wanted something else, she would have to find a way to get it. She had the T-1 reagent in her hand, so she could exchange it directly. Fish who loves diving, okay, how do you want to trade? Use dark domain express delivery, or meet offline and trade face to face. Running turtle, do you really have T-1 reagent in your hand? Fish who loves diving, I can get it. Running turtle, wait a minute, I'll ask the boss. Qin Ye hurriedly called Qin Lu, Master Qin. The other party agreed to the exchange request, and now asks whether it is an offline transaction or a dark domain express transaction. Qin Lu pondered for a moment. Meet offline for trading, try to confirm the other party's identity. Qin Ye, yes, Master Qin. Running turtle, if possible, let's trade offline. It just so happens that only offline transactions can confirm the authenticity of the T-1 reagent and avoid being cheated. And Nanyan thought so too. Fish who loves diving, okay, time and place, let me know after it is set. Running turtle, okay. After the two main medicines were settled, Nanyan turned off the computer, lay on the comfortable big bed, and gradually fell asleep. The next day, after Nanyan got up, she found an extra text message on her mobile phone. Xiao Yanyan, is that you? Bai Chen. It was only one night, and he had already found her phone number. After a long silence, she replied, it's me. Bai Chen should be sleeping at this time, so after replying, she put away her mobile phone and prepared to go downstairs for dinner. However, within 10 seconds, she received a message reminder. She took out her mobile phone, and a friend request appeared on WeChat. Bai Chen requested to add you as a friend. Without hesitation, she chose to accept. Then an emoticon popped up in the dialog box, Omega, Omega, dot. Nanyan. You want to take advantage of her even from a distance, right? Bai Chen, wait for me, I'll come to see you soon. Nanyan, yes. This time, Bai Chen didn't reply. Nanyan slowly exhaled and put the phone back into her pocket. She looked blank for a few seconds and walked down the stairs. After going downstairs, she found that there was an uninvited guest waiting for her in the living room. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 260. Teacher Zhang. Why did you come to see me at home? Nanyan walked down the stairs and came to the sofa. Zhang Qiaoyuan saw her coming down and then stood up. Classmate Nanyan, that's it? Do you still remember what I asked you to help me? Nan Yan nodded, remember. Last time, Zhang Chaoyang approached her and wanted her to replace the ENTA Computing Institute to deal with the challenges of the CSA Computing Institute in Country M. Today. Zhang Xian nodded, well, the time will be at 10 o'clock this morning. Oh. The challenges of the Computing Institute are all online. When the time comes, she can just go to the ENTA Computing Institute instead of going to Country M. Have you had breakfast? If not, how about eating together? Zhang Qianqian waved his hand quickly, no, you go to eat first. I'll buy some pancakes and fruit on the way later. Nan Yan looked at him and said, Teacher Zhang, you are too outsider. Finally, Zhang Qianqiang was called to the restaurant by Nan Yan, had breakfast together, and then went to the ENTA Computing office together. ENTA Computing Institute. At this time, the atmosphere in the place was quite solemn. Especially the newcomers who will participate in the battle today. This challenge is only limited to newcomers who have just joined the company within 1 year, and old members cannot participate. But in the past year, the new generation that has joined the institute has not yet fully developed their strength, and their abilities are not ideal. In order not to be embarrassed, Zhang Qianqian thought of asking for foreign aid and asked Nan Yan to help. After the two got off the car, Zhang Qianqian asked, the director is waiting for us in his office, shall we go there now? Nan Yan responded calmly, yes. Director's office. Is this the candidate you have always recommended to me? Tan Lin adjusted the frame of the glasses and looked at Nanyan from under the lenses with sharp eyes. Yes, Director, this is Nanyan, a sophomore at Zhide High School and a participating member of Zhide's national computer competition. Zhang Chaoyuan's attitude towards Tan Lin was very respectful. After all, Tan Lin was also his teacher, the one who introduced him. Hello, my name is Nan Yan. Nan Yan's tone was very calm, and there was not much emotion change under Tan Lin's observation. Are you interested in joining ENTA? Not yet, Nan Yan refused rudely. Oh. There was no emotional change on Tan Lin's face, but he just said again the next second, then if you want to join, you can come at any time, ENTA will always open the door for you. If I have this plan, I will consider your company as soon as possible. Zhang leads the way. He listened to his teacher talking to his students, and felt a strange feeling inexplicably. Tan Lin looked at Nan Yan's unfazed appearance and couldn't help but become more and more pleased with her. It's a pity that he just wanted to invite others to join him, but he was rejected. Have personality. For today's competition, I'll leave it to my little friend. I try my best. Zhang Qianqian smacked his tongue. To be able to talk to the director like this, Nan Yan's character is indeed quite crazy. But people have this ability. If he had Nan Yan's ability, he would probably be crazier than her. The location of the competition is in the computer room. 3 ENTA newcomers are already waiting inside. There were also old members nearby, cheering them on. The door opened, and everyone's eyes automatically turned to the door. Then everyone saw a slender figure slowly walking in against the light. So beautiful. Where did senior brother Zhang get such a charming little girl? Are you too young? How could he do it? Senior brother Zhang is not very old, he is only 27 or 80 years old. Uncle love is not popular nowadays, so it seems a good match if you think about it this way. Several people who had a good relationship with Zhang leading were laughing and joking. The 3 newcomers didn't dare to make fun of him like this, they just stared at Nan Yan. Nan Yan is indeed so beautiful that it catches the eye. Even though she was wearing ordinary casual clothes, it still couldn't hide her dazzling temperament. The little face as big as a palm is exquisite, beautiful, charming but not seductive, and also has an aura of ice and snow, making it unmistakable for a boy who is in adolescence and has just begun to have a love interest. What are you talking about? Zhang Qianqian came in with a straight face. Nan Yan is my student, put away the dirty thoughts in your heads. Then he apologized to Nan Yan, "Classmate Nan Yan, I'm sorry, they are just used to being mean and they usually like to make fun of me. Don't be like them." Nan Yan raised his eyes coolly and said, "After the battle is over in a while, let them PK with me. Let's forget about today's matter." She was indeed unhappy to hear those words, but she was not angry just because of their few jokes. It's just a joke, and their jokes are not vulgar. Zhang Qianqian looked pityingly at the few people who had spoken so eloquently. "Did you all hear it? No, doesn't this allow us to bully her? Little classmate, I'm sorry. We don't mean any harm. You don't have to be so upset and looking for abuse. How about another way? Can't we treat you to dinner to make amends for your crime?" Nan Yan looked at the few people with an expressionless face, and said calmly in a cool voice, 3 games for each person. 1 round was not enough to calm her down. Several people. Are you confused? Nan Yan went to talk to the 3 newcomers, and they came directly to Zhang Qiaoyuan. "Brother, whose student is that little classmate? How capable is he? He doesn't look very old, a few years younger than our newcomers. Want to know his ability? You guys will watch him carefully later." Zhang Lingxian thought for a while, and patted several people on the shoulders. "Be strong for a while, don't collapse easily." Several people. What does he mean by this? Does he think that the 3 of them are not as good as a little girl? What a joke. Hashtag 10 o'clock. The battle invitation from the CSA Computing Institute of Country M was sent on time. Nan Yan had already adapted to the computer she was using in advance, and casually shook her hands and covered the keyboard. Compared to the nervous emotions of the other 3 newcomers, she was much more relaxed. The old members saw her unhurried look and couldn't help but wonder whether she had enough confidence in her own strength or was too conceited. Seeing Zhang Lingxian standing aside calmly and not saying anything, they could only remain silent. It can't affect them. The battle is actually very simple. The 2 sides invaded each other's computers. Whoever cracked the other's firewall first would win. At the beginning, Nan Yan didn't try too hard, and her hands didn't type very fast. While typing carelessly, she had the leisure to look sideways at the people around her. The 3 newcomers were so nervous that they were sweating, and their hands were pushing their speed to the extreme. "Brother Zhang, are you sure she can win?" A member frowned and whispered in Zhang Ling's ear. "This is not a question of ability, but a question of attitude. Are you here to play so casually in the competition?" Zhang Ling hesitated for a moment. "I think so."